Okay, we will start. So last class we saw chapter 9 and as I have been repeatedly saying, Bhagavad Gita in the second triplet is taking us towards Tat Padartha. In that Mahavakya, Tat Tvam Asi. What is that? That is the subject matter for the second triplet of Bhagavad Gita, chapters 7 to 12. And as we saw last class in chapter 9, the last 10 slokas particularly is some great ideas on Bhakti. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nitya abhiyuktanam yogakshemam aham. In fact, from 7th chapter itself we are seeing it. Ever since Krishna started saying Matta Parataram Na Anyat Kinchidasti Dhananjaya, there is nothing other than me, not a speck of dust other than me, which he started in chapter 7. Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha Mayarpita Mano Buddhihi Mameva Yesechina Samshayaha. Chapter 8. Yoga Yukto Bhavarjana. Again, the last shloka was the same thing. Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmara. That is the idea behind that. And in chapter 9, he talked about Ananyas Chintayanto Mam, then Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam. So, with all these discussions, there is this strong feeling of that Tat Padartha, which can be accessed only through Bhakti. Now the question is, can we go more than that? When Sri Krishna said, Matta Parataram Na Anyat Kinchidasti Dhananjaya, there is nothing other than me that you can ever see in this world. How far can we take this idea? Is it just an intellectual idea which needs to be reflected, which needs to be thought about several times? Or can we do something more than that? In fact, this is the real difference between Sanatana Dharma and Semitic religions and many other practices. In fact, the hallmark of everything that we do from morning to evening, every practice, every custom, everything that we do is connected to this chapter, Vibhuti Yoga. Sri Krishna is actually demonstrating that concept, that Matta Parataram Na Anyat Kinchidasi Dhananjaya. How is he going to show? He does it in two parts. So far he has talked about the importance of it. Now somewhere you need to demonstrate, somewhere you need to show it. In fact, Arjuna is asking for it. As we will see in chapter 10, Arjuna is indeed asking for it. Can you go further and show me? I am still not getting what you are saying, because it cannot be an intellectual idea. It has to be something more than that. So this chapter and the next chapter, we have to first understand the basic formula behind these two. In very simple terms, in this chapter called Vibhuti Yoga, which we will see, Sri Krishna is demonstrating a very important concept, and that is called one in many. There is one particle in many. In fact, that is much easier. It is much easier to recognize gold in all gold ornaments. It's much easier if you think about it. That's the way to start. If you have to understand gold, then look at a gold necklace and say, oh, there is gold here. Look at a gold bangle and say there is gold here. And look at a earring or no stud or whatever. So look at different manifestations through which you try to understand the substratum is much easier coming to think of it. I mean, it's not just about the simple example of gold. When we want to understand a simple thing, even in our sciences, in our vyavahara, the first method is, I know something, I look for where it is. There is a little concept I know, now I say, oh, here it is. So that way I understand. This is how we start. Now, there is another way to do it. That is much more evolved. And that is, you give me a piece of gold, I will see the universe of items which is coming out of it. You give me one stone, I will see the universe of items which are coming through the stone. That is difficult. That is level 2, if I have to say. Level 1 is, in a stone sculpture I can see stone. In a small stone piece of some ornament I can see stone. In a stone slab or something I can see stone. That's much easier. What is difficult is, if you give me a slab of stone or a piece of stone or a lump of gold, can I see the whole universe of manifestations that can come out of it? That is the highest level of understanding. In other words, one is knowing from a specific case, another is called generalization. And if I use the management parlance, one is case by case understanding. I see something, I understand a concept. I see something, I understand the same concept in a different way. Then I see, in another occasion, same concept I see. That is called case by case understanding. Generalization means I am now able to get a concept in which I can see all these different things that can happen. That is what he is doing in 11th chapter. So 11th chapter is many in one. 10th chapter is one in many. Vibhuti Yoga is one in many. 11th chapter, which is Vishwarupa Darshana or Virat Rupa, is all the many are found in one. So that is how these two chapters are taking us, rather than just saying Matta Parataram na anyat kinchidasti, rather than just saying it, how do you actually show it? How do you show that it's all divine, divinity everywhere? How do you show? So that is what he is going to demonstrate through these two chapters. Now this chapter is of great meaning to us, and an understanding of this chapter can put a great meaning to many things we do in life. I want to talk about a few things. Things on which foreigners laugh at us. In fact, our own kids sometimes start laughing because they also don't understand. Several things that we do for which we don't know why we are doing, so we develop a sense of disrespect or udasina bhava. You take it too lightly. All those are actually addressed through this chapter. I'll give you a few examples. How do you actually know that God is everywhere? Because that is the ultimate path of this growth that we have to go. We must see what Sri Krishna said in 7th chapter. There's nothing other than nothing other than me in even a speck of dust. It's all law of conservation of divinity. How do we see it? 3 stages in which we can actually think about it, if we want to really. First of all, I want to make clear that many things that we do correctly in our worldly things, I am very honest, I don't hurt others, I am very helping nature, right? I support, I take care of small little things, poor people I can take care of. All these will not give me the Brahma Jnana. It will not flower me ultimately. They are essentially first step. That's why, Adi Shankaracharya in his Viveka Chudamani, I keep quoting it, he says, Chittasya shuddhaye karma, na vastu upalabdhaye, vastu siddhi vicharena, na kinchit karma koti bihi. Work must clean you, make you purified. Chitta shuddhi will happen by leading a dharmic life, by leading a very disciplined life, being good to others, being very ethical and moral in what we do, helping others. You put the whole law, all elements of good living. All elements of good living will do only chitta shuddhi. We will become pure. But we will not reach the final goal. the final goal is reached, entire Puranas, Vedas, different scriptures people have written, sons have talked about for thousands and thousands of years, are, although there are very differences, you know, you can say Advaita, Visishta Advaita and Advaita, they agree on one thing, no matter how they go about, or the Eastern tradition, or the Western tradition, they agree on one thing. You have to self-realize. That is the ultimate thing in life. That self-realization does not come through this clean living. Clean living prepares you. It's a necessary condition, but not the sufficient condition. So that is stage one. So what is stage two? In stage two, what we can do is we can start developing some bhakti. That's the only way we can understand. So we can say, well, a clean living, a good living is just a starter. So if I have to realize that ultimate truth, I have to know what that ultimate truth is. That's where bhakti comes. It may be, saguna upasana. You know, we have a god, a kuladevata, ishtadevata, on which we can focus. So all that takes us to the stage two. But that is not what Krishna said in 7th chapter. He said you have to turn, whichever direction you turn, you should see only divinity. Now the question is, how do we go from this upasana and this, bhakti that we have, which is a saguna upasana, how do we visualize, not understand it as a piece of knowledge with the intellectual mind, but to realize it as experience? How do we go to the third stage? That is where this Vibhuti Yoga will help. No, that is how our entire culture has been, our living style has been designed. Look at a few things which is in complete contrast with every other type of living outside of this country. Number one, this country has 330 million gods. We don't belong to the category of one god, one book, one day. There are certain religions like that. Sanatana Dharma is not like that. We have 330 million gods. Step one. So now if you are going to accept this notion of 330 million gods, you are on the highway of this law of conservation of divinity. Otherwise, how are you going to get there? That's the first thing. But we didn't stop there. We said we must practice, many of our customs are like that. We must practice in such a way that we should be able to see God everywhere, not as a matter of one shloka in Bhagavad Gita, as a way we live. That is why, what did we do? We started first worshipping these 330 million gods. Then the list started. This is a very small list actually. Then we said Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava. We brought some more into the list. We in fact wanted to bring a lot of Manushyas also gods, so we introduced the concept of Avatara Purusha. They are all human embodiments. Rama and Krishna are what? They are all human embodiments. So we wanted to worship human beings. So we increased the list. Then we did not stop here. We said we will actually worship the whole animal kingdom. That's why you have Naga Panchami, you have, you worship cow, you name anything. That is why many of these animals are actually vahanas for the god. We wanted to do a way in which we get that seriousness in our understanding. So people can laugh at all these. That's why for Rajarajeshwari, lion is the vahana. For this, Mushika vahana is there for, Ganapati. And you have Mayura Vahana for, Skanda. We incorporated all these. So where all we have gone? 330 million gods. Then we said our parents and teachers and all those lists we brought in. Then Naranamapi, we said Avatara Purushaha. Then we said no, we cannot stop like this. We will get the animal kingdom also into it. Right? Then we brought the plant kingdom into it. That is why on Amavasya Somavara you go and see. People will go around Ashwatha Vriksha and Nimba Vriksha. We built a whole set of practices. They are not just time pass. Unless these are what is called lingas. Linga means sign. It is a tag to remind you of this grand concept. Why do we do Naga Panchami in Ashada, where we worship snake? Why? Because these are methods by which the law of conservation of divinity must be in our mind all the time. So we brought all of them. Then we went even one more step. We said, if two rivers can meet a point, that's a holy place. We will worship that place. All Sangamas are very important. That's why, Maha, Kumbh Mela and all those happens. See, we factored it in such a way, we developed rituals around it, we developed festivals around it. So these festivals and rituals are not time pass. It is for us to, every time, every other day, we must be remembering that in every form we should be able to see God. So we said, if two rivers can meet, make it holy. That is worthy of worship. Then we said, if there is a mountain, make it worthy of worship. In fact, all mountains are holy spots for us. Punya Tirtha, Punya Kshetra. So this whole ritual in this country that we have put together is actually Vibhuti in practice. It is a nice methodology our ancestors have put together to remind us, to show us all the time that what matters is our ability to see divinity everywhere. Child is God for us. In our practices, child is God. We worship. Child is God for us. A person who actually takes dana is God. That's why when you do Kanniha dana, the Vara Puja is done. The person who receives dana is God, not the person who is giving dana. Person who is receiving gift is God. So we knew how to make divinity everywhere. And where did this idea come? That is the core principle of our living. That is the core idea where we must aspire to go. How do you tell it? You can't tell it in a sloka and ask you to memorize. And memorize and commit it to your buddhi, it is good for nothing. It is a piece of knowledge. It is jnana, it is not vijnana. It is not a realized experience, it is only a knowledge. How do you make it realized? Bring it in. In fact, that is why you will see in Puranas, you will find rishis with, peacock head, with Hayagriva, for example, with a horse head. Why are we doing all that? Come, there is one here. There is one here. Why don't you come? There is one here. We need to come around there. Why come this way? Come this way. So in our Puranas, in our rishis, Vaishampayana has peacock. See, these are all to remind us all the time that the crux of our living is to realize that it is law of conservation of divinity which matters. The day we breathe in that feeling, we will evolve. We will go near that stage of liberation. That is the point which Sri Krishna is also going to get us. He talked about Bhakti. He said this law of conservation of divinity, all that he put concepts, but he wanted to use the last two chapters before the Bhakti Yoga, of course, to actually show it. To demonstrate that what I am saying must be lived through. So I want to tell you one story, because there is this Kanchi Paramacharya. There are lots of episodes like this written down. These are recent. In Ramana Maharishi's lifetime it has happened. Recent history. Ramarshi Paramahamsa's lifetime it has happened. So there is one great devotee of Paramacharya, Kanchi Paramacharya. So he requested him that he should come and bless him for his Sashti Abda Purti. He really begged him, he pleaded him in Kanchipuram. He has been there. So the Paramacharya agreed, I will come. So the mud people said tomorrow morning 9 o'clock, 9:30 something, Swamiji will come. So this person is all ready at 9:30, and I forgot to switch this on. You switch this on also. Just give me a minute. Okay. So morning 9 o'clock, Swamiji said he will come. They were all ready to receive the Swamiji, great devotee of Swamiji. So they were really in state of ecstasy. So, it is a normal practice that you have 2 banana plants. We normally put it at the front of the mandap or premises. That's our practice. So with half-grown banana as a, right? That's what we do. So at about 9:15 or so, there was a cow which was grazing. And since there are some banana leaves, it came and then it was trying to graze. So these people are all now waiting for the Swamiji, so they chase this cow away. Because, they didn't want Swamiji comes, then things should not get disturbed and so on. Swamiji didn't turn up. So this bhakta, devotee, was very, very, crestfallen. So he went and asked the Swamiji, he said, I came, but you chased me away. That's what the episode is, that this cow, the point is, we should be able to, sometimes one can attach a tag to a physical. That is one level of understanding of reality. So maybe it is to convey that such a story is there. So the point is, to go to such level of understanding requires a greater understanding of trying to see everything as divine. So how do we get it? That's what Krishna is going to do. And that he does through this chapter. And then he says, if you can buy this idea, if you can repeatedly contemplate this idea, and if you know how to see gold in a golden bangle and a golden stud and a golden necklace and golden ring and so on, if you have developed a lot of expertise in seeing all manifestations that comes out of gold, now I will show you gold and make sure that you see all these manifestations there. That's what he is going to do in chapter 11. So that's how it is. So this is Dashamodhyayah, Vibhuti Yoga. So far in the 9th chapter, there are very important things that Sri Krishna laid out. He started by saying worldly minded people are very unwise. First 3 shlokas in Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya, this idea, Ashraddha Danaha, all those are there. They are deluded. He talked about, Mogasha, Moga Karmani, Asurim, Mohinim, all that, Prakriti, all that he talked about. They are defeated ultimately in life. He established that. Then in chapter 7, he talked about the law of conservation of divinity, Matta Parataram Na Anyat Kinchidasti Dhananjaya. Then he talked about Bhakti requires Shraddha and Bhava. Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam is the greatest explanation for Bhava. And in our Dharma Shastras, everywhere this Bhava is greatly explained, greatly emphasized. Rituals are only as good as the Bhava. There is one separate Upanishad for that called Kathopanishad. The whole story in Kathopanishad is there is this father trying to do an yajna to get some material benefits. So if there should be a safalata of the yajna, then you have to properly give the danas. Yajna and dana and tapas are interrelated. But this man does all kinds of dirty calculations while giving all the danas. Bhava is not there. So this Nachiketas, who is a small boy, gets very disturbed by the father's attitude. The boy is disturbed because the boy wants the father to get what he wanted. So that is the boy's concern. So when he was giving a dana of a cow, see the number of teeth in the cow is a measure of the age of the cow. So he gives a very old aged cow. So this boy gets very restless. So he keeps asking his father again and again, whom are you going to give me? He sees the futility of this exercise. So the question is more of that. So since this boy is interrupting too much with the father got upset. He said, I am going to give you to Yama. See, when we are angry, we tell many things. That's why in chapter 3 he said, Atakkena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichanapi vashneya baladiva niyojit. We then think later, why did we say all this? So this father said, I am going to give you to Yama Dharmaraja. So this son, this young boy, Nachiketas, wants to make sure his father's yajna is not incomplete, because what he has promise must be given, so he goes to Yamapuri, waits there for 3 days. That's the story. So what I'm saying, bhava is very, very important. Then bhaktas are taken, he says, name te pranashyati is what he says. Ananyachi, yoga kshemam mahamyaham is what he's saying. Your yoga and your kshema I will take care. Name bhakta pranashyati. Lot of disclaimers, lot of guarantees. Sri Krishna is giving guarantees. We have to use today's terms. He thumbs the desks and says a few things. We still don't have any sense of belief. We'll just leave it. So he says bhaktas are taken care, they will never perish. It's a gainful journey towards the ultimate goal, and realizing the divinity within is the ultimate goal, and no holes barred. In fact, this shloka I didn't talk last time. It's a very nice shloka. It says, Apichet su duracharaha bhajate mam ananyabhak. His past could be anything. He would have been into all kinds of wrong things. But the day he resolved that notwithstanding what I did, I have now this ananya chinta, I will bring to the table. He says, I will lift him. That's the end. He says, Abhichet su duracharaha. He did all durachara in the past. But now, bhajate, mam bhajate ananya bhag. Ananya chinta. Don't think of anything else. Fix your attention in me and in me alone. In that way, if you can, worship me, he says, sadhuhu eva samantavyaha. Samyak vyavastitaha. He has taken the correct approach to this liberation for which we are all actually struggling. So all that he said, your past is no consequence, everybody is right. I talked about that shloka, right? Papa yoneyaha, everybody, are allowed. No, nobody can be stopped. All that he has said. So he has prepared and motivated enough to develop this notion of bhakti and see me. He is crying, please see me everywhere. That the job seems to be very simple. Keep seeing me all the way, all over the place. You will be lifted off from this samsara chakra. This is what he is saying again and again. So therefore, he now goes one step further and wants to actually demonstrate, I'll tell you how to start seeing. So that is what this chapter is all about. So word vibhuti means manifestation. So the unmanifested form has become manifested. That's what we spoke about in chapter 7 and 8. In chapter 2 he said, Avyaktani cha bhutani madhya vyaktani bharata. This seed, which is an unmanifested form of banyan tree, becomes a banyan tree, lives for 700 years. So this unmanifested form becomes a manifested form. Then it pours into so many seeds, they are all unmanifested form. Some more banyan trees will come. So that manifestation is what he is talking about now. So far he talked about the unmanifested creator. Now he is talking about the manifestation. What has been created, look me there also. Because you remember, Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara, this triangle has to be connected. I am a Jiva. There is this Jagat. There is a concept called Ishvara. This triangle has to be connected. If you connect all the three, the law of conservation of divinity is solved. And connected not intellectually, experientially. Anubhuti, not just some knowledge. So he wants to show that. So vibhuti is nothing but indication of that joyous infinite. That joy of that infinity is nothing but vibhuti. In fact, the greatest, I am stunned if my daughter, some of my kids in my house keep asking, what is nature and what is infinity? These kinds of questions they ask. And if they are slightly grown, engineers, I answer them differently. I ask them, particularly I ask these mechanical engineers, how long will it take for you to cool an open system? This is a closed system. How long will it take to cool an open system, which is some 50 square kilometers? Bring down the temperature from 32 to 27. It's impossible. Because bring this temperature from 32 to 27 in this small room, you need some 4 ACs running for about 5 hours. Whereas Varuna Bhagavan will come and do it in 5 minutes. try to appreciate this joy of the infinity. What it can do, one lightning and two thunder, clouds passing this way will bring down the city's temperature by 5 degrees. Please see infinity and divinity there. No man-made thing can go anywhere near it. I'll give you another example. Tell me, can you design a tube light which can light the whole of Bangalore with 1000 watts? That is what a lightning is. All our man-made creations will pale in comparison. Can you have a machine with which you can sprinkle water in the whole of city of Bangalore? It's not possible. You cannot design a machine. The kind of energy it needs to guzzle, and then somewhere it will collapse. Simply not going to work. So we should learn to see the joy of infinity. There are many ways. These are smaller examples. Just go and stand in front of the ocean. You should be able to see divinity there. What a power is being manifested there. If you can't see it, then we are missing the essence. Everywhere it is there. Just go, there are some beautiful trees, please see in this campus. I am stunned by these trees. There are some 200-year-old trees. Just behind this building there is a tree. What a span it has. We should be able to enjoy it and see divinity there. Man cannot create any of them. It is impossible, I am telling you. Whatever science you bring, you cannot do that. That is called joyous infinity. Among the finite entities. That is divinity. That's how we should learn to see divinity. It is nothing but a more direct expression of this shloka. Matta parataram na anyad kinchidasti dhananjaya mayi sarvamitam protam sutre maniganayva. What more practical way you can understand this shloka? You have to see here. So that is the charm of vibhuti. That is the meaning of vibhuti. Before we go in, I want to quote from two Upanishads. Mundakopanishad and Taitriya Upanishad, because these ideas are in plenty. Bhagavad Gita's greatest strength is it has taken from everywhere. All ideas in Upanishads and Brahma Sutras are so beautifully brought in simple shlokas. So off and on I need to put the hook and then connect you to the source so that we know so many ideas are contained here. I've been doing it off and on. Look at this in Mundakopanishad. Yaha sarvajnaha sarvavit yasya jnanamayam tapaha tasmad etad brahmanama rupam annam cha jayate. It says that which is in a completely unmanifested form, correct, and which is a sarvajna, it knows everything, and which is nothing but embodiment of knowledge, prajnana ganam. That's another word they use in Chandogya Upanishad. Nothing but jnana maya. See, the maya is a pratyaya. If you say something is made of only that and nothing else, you have to use a maya pratyaya. Buddhi maya means he is nothing but buddhi. If you have to say like that. Mat is called maya pratyaya. So jnana maya means there is nothing but jnana only. You can't get anything out of it. Sun has only, Prabha and nothing else. Energy maya. It's like that. So that is a maya pratyaya actually in Sanskrit. Tasmat, from that. So this is a napumsaka linga and pullinga. So you can comfortably use it because it has no linga. So you can use a neuter gender. Tasmat is the fifth case for both napumsaka linga and pullinga. You can use a napumsaka linga because this is a formless, shapeless idea. Tasmat etad brahmanama. Even this tag called Brahma, moment you say Brahma, there is a manifestation which has happened out of the unmanifested. So tasmat etad brahma nama rupam, then annam cha jayate. All this food, everything came out of it. So what he says. And this is a nice way of explaining. Look at this sloka. It says, tad etat satyam yata sudiptat pavakat vispulingaha sahasrashaha prabhavante sarupaha. Just like from a fire, there are, when you, in Diwali time when they keep these small little, this thing, from there you get hundreds of sparks from the sparkler. There are hundreds of sparks radiating all over the place. That is what is example given here. Vispulingaha. It is those sparks. Sahasrashaha. Thousands of them. So just like from a powerful fire. There are thousands of these sparks come out of it. The Brahman out of which this world of creation came like this spark. That's what he is trying to say here. He says, Pavakat, from the fire. Pavakat vispulingaha sahasrashaha prabhavante sarupaha. Fire has no shape, but that momentary spark has a star's shape or some shape, it is there. It gets a shape and comes out of a shapelessness. Fire by nature doesn't have shape. The flames only have a shape. Tata, in the same way, Aksharat, from that undestroyable, unmanifested God particle. That's what the reason science also uses the word God particle. Aksharat vividaha, hey Saumya, this is addressing that boy. Saumya, bhavaha prajayante, tatra cha eva apiyanti. They all also go back there. So it all originate from there and eventually they all go back to that. Is what this is saying. Then it goes on. Pranaha hi eshaha yaha sarva bhutaihi vibhati. So this is called pranan. How does it manifest in all bhutas? Not just human beings, all bhutas. All bhuta rashi. It manifests as prana. Right? The pranic force. Because if you take the prana, everything is over. After that, you can take passport, you can take name, you can take everything out. Bank accounts, everything can be taken out. They all exist because of prana. So that's what sarva bhutaihi vibhati. It is shining. That God particle is shining in every bhuta with a name called prana. He is giving a tag to it. Recognize it like that. Sarva bhutaihi vibhati vijanan vidwan. Somebody who knows it, having known it, that this is the ultimate truth, bhavate nahativadi, he becomes silent. Nothing more for him to talk. He becomes very contemplative. Oh, this is the truth that I have to, nahativadi. He doesn't do any more conversation. And what he does, atma kridaha, atma ramati. Kriyavan eshaha brahmavidam varishtaha. He focuses himself into this idea internally, in the world within, not in the world outside. In the world within, he starts deeply contemplating on it because it hits him like a spark. It's what, we are in different places, so I was just pulling all of them. Then this is a very nice Yatha nadyaha sandhyamanaha samudre astam gachanti namarupe vihaya Tata vidwan namarupad vimuktaha parat param purusham upaiti divyam. Very nice. It says, all rivers, you just see, all rivers have only one goal. They have to lose their name and form. Actually, to think of it, that's what they are. The mightiest rivers which start in a mountain range, what is their goal? Their goal is to ceaselessly run and do what? Lose the name and form and become samudre astam gachanti namarupam vihaya. Right? From the Himalayas, the mightiest river called Brahmaputra and the Ganges starts and it ceaselessly runs to lose its name and shape into Bay of Bengal. So Bay of Bengal says, I am so impressed by your bhakti on me, it comes 20 kilometers in. It's called backwaters. Godavari, I keep saying because this stuns me all the time. Godavari in Nashik is a small, like a gutter. Godavari in Rajamundri is, you will be humbled. If you are not humbled, you have not understood divinity. You have not understood. You go and see a river, don't go and see a river in its. That's why it was again our practice. Kaveri, you should go to Talakaveri and then you should go to Tamil Nadu. You know why they kept it? You just go to both these places. You will become humbled. You will understand the joyous infinity in the finite thing that you see. You go and see Godavari in Nashik, in Trambakeshwar, go and see in Rajamundri, you will be humbled in Rajamundri. And the ocean says, I will come 20 kilometers in. When you come, I will come. That's a bhakti bhava there. That's what he says. Samudre astam gachanti nama rupe vihaya. In the same way, tata, in the same way, this Vidwan, he has now understood what it is. All these names and shapes and all these tags are only for the world of Vyavahara. The ultimate truth is you have to raise about all that. That's why there is this nice shloka. Akashat patitam toyam yata gacchati sagaram sarvadeva namaskaraha keshavam prati gacchati. Same idea. If you can do one pranam like that, it will reach. We need that spirit and that perspective and that frame of mind when we put, do one pranam like that in front of the God. Akasat patitam toyam yata gacchati sagaram. That's what happens. Water falls from the skies into Himalayas and finally gets into Bay of Bengal. Same thing. Small things that you do will reach him. That Shraddha is very important. That, belief system is very, very important to, improve our Vyaktitva, to flower our personality within. Namarupam, Namarupat, Vimuktaha. He gets liberated from these narrow confines of name and shape. He gets out of it. Paratparam Purusham Upaiti Divyam. So he reaches him. Once he experiences this is not a matter of knowledge in an intellectual sense. It is a knowledge of Anubhuti. Once he gets there, he will merge. Is what in Mundakopanishad it says. So all these are talking about the manifestation and how the manifestation goes back to unmanifestation. What is the path? That is what is being talked about. Taitriya Upanishad also has very good ideas. Look at this. Asanneva sabhavati asad brahmheti veda chet asti brahmheti chet veda. Some people say it is there. The concept of Brahma is there. Asti brahma iti chet veda. Some people know like that. Asat eva sabhavati. Asad brahmheti veda chet. Some people say it exists. Some people say it doesn't exist. These are all different ways. Which, in other words, some people have understood up to the level of unmanifested form. Some people are still in the narrow confines of manifestation form. That's what it is saying. Little down it says, how the manifestation, how the world created in a very short span, in a very short passage, once it says here. It's very nice. It says, so kamayata, saha kamayata. That unmanifested principle became desirous. It developed a desire. Kama. Saha akamayata. So kamayata bahusyam prajayeti. Let's now create this world of multiplicity. That desire came one day. Why it came, we do not know. It says bahusyam prajayeti satapo tapyata satapas taptva. It deeply contemplated on this idea. Oh, let's now create from this unmanifested form, let's create the manifested form. And that's a deep contemplation. Idam sarvam, idagum sarvam asrijata. It created this whole world of 600 billion varieties of what you wanted. Everything was created. Idagum sarvam asrijata. Edidam kincha tasrishtva. Having done it, what did it do? That's the next question. Of course, it created all these names and forms. Tasrishtva tadeva anupravishat. Anupravishat. It said, let me now enter into all of them. So the God particle is now entering into all of them in the name of prana. That is what it is saying. Tadeva anupravishat tadanupravishya. Having entered into it, what did it do? It created the world of duality. It created all pairs of opposites. That's what this passage is saying. It says, Tadanupravishya Satchatyacha Bhavat. Sat and Asat was created. Everything was created. Niruktam cha, niruktam cha, niruktam cha, aniruktam cha. Nilayanam cha, nilayanam cha, nilayanam cha, anilayanam. Opposites. Pairs of opposites were created. Right? Vijnanam cha, vijnanam cha, vijnanam and avijnana. That's also created. Satyam cha, nritam cha, satyam abhavat. Everything was created and he said everything is truth. At the end of the day, understand there is truth in everything. The meaning of the truth and the quality of the truth is different, but there is truth in everything. That's how it created. Now why I am saying this, the reason I brought this is, in one of the shlokas, he is saying the same thing in a different way. We will see in one of the shlokas the same idea. There will be a pair of opposites, we will be wondering why are these pair of opposites coming. In chapter 11, he will see he will show a lot of evil along with good. He will show. In fact, the quantum of evil he is showing is more than the quantum of good he is showing. In chapter 11. Count the number of shlokas, you will find more evil than less good. That's how it is. This is the only religion in which evil is not outside of God. Evil is also God. Otherwise that shloka is gone. That the world is nothing but me is gone. If that is true, evil is a certain degree of manifestation. That is also vibhuti. How can it be not vibhuti? Anyway, so with this background, this is how the chapter is. There are 42 shlokas in this chapter. And the first 11 shlokas is all about this manifestation process. Because that has not been that well articulated. We are more talking it in, the creator part of it. Now there is a little bit about the manifestation part of it. So that is what you will see. There is an opening remark by Lord Krishna. Then from unmanifested state to manifested state, how some of those things, that world of opposites and all those are being discussed in shlokas 5, 6 and so on. Then Bhakta's approach towards the Lord of creation and Ishvara's response. All these are part of the first part of the chapter. Then there is the major part of this chapter is the vibhuti. So he has taken some examples. Pandavanam Dhananjaya. Like that I have classified it thematically. And it's separate blocks. I have plant kingdom, animal kingdom. I have teared down all the shlokas into a different way. We will see that. Because he wants to really show it. Unless you show it, this is a very wishful thinking. We have to practice it like that. So that is what it is. Then there are 3 shlokas with which he actually ends the chapter, which is how do you reach this Lord of creation. That's how this chapter is. Okay. So we'll quickly see some shlokas. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Bhuya eva mahabaho shrunume paramam vachaha yatte aham priyamanaya vakshyami hitakamyaya. So Bhuya is again. So Krishna says, I'll tell you again. Bhuya eva mahabaho shrunu. Here again. So not I say, here again. Once again here from me. Right? Mama paramam, me paramam vachaha. This ultimate truth which I am sharing with you, I will tell you once again, please hear. And these are all about, he is saying, you have developed so much of bhakti, so much of closeness to me, so I will, because just now he said, Ananya chintayanto mam yejana paripasate, tesham nitya abhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. So that's why hitakamyaya, for your goodness, I will tell all this, is what he is saying. He's saying, Yat te aham priyamanaya, you are very beloved to me, vakshyami. Because you are beloved to me, I will tell you that will lift you spiritually. Yogakshemam you will get. So that's just an opening remark for the chapter. Then he says, Name viduhu suraganaha prabhavam na maharshayah aham adihi hi devanam maharshinam cha sarvashah. Aham adihi, the repa will become visarga when you split it. So there are 2 he's now. Adihi is one, he is another. Adihi, he. In Sandhi, adirhi. Yeah? So it's a... He says, people do not know. Many people do not know about my Prabhava. Which people do not know? Maharshis. Maharshis don't know. Na viduhu suraganaha. These, these devas, they don't know. And Maharshis, they don't know. Prabhavam, me prabhavam na viduhu. That's what it is. Me prabhavam suraganaha na viduhu, me prabhavam maharshayaha na viduhu. So there are 2 nas here. These people also does not know. These people also does not know. What do they do not know? They do not know that I am the beginning of everything. That part they don't know. The primordial cause of everything, including them, is me. Aham adihi. He, indeed, he is used to punch. Indeed. Indeed, I am the beginning of everything. I am the primordial cause of everything. That they don't know. Maharshinam, sarvashaha, everything. But he right turn starts the manifestation process. He says all that you see in various manifestations are all beginning from me. That even that evolved people do not know that part of the story, is what he is saying. So who are these devas? Devas are that stage one which I talked about. People who got chitta shuddhi. So they have a lot of punya, credit. So they have their holiday, timeshare in Devaloka. They are that category. There is no guarantee that devas will get mukti. If they have such a very high quantum of this punya balance, they may get a karma mukti. Otherwise they will all slip and come back to karma bhumi. That's why they may have chitta shuddhi. For all the good act, they will get some credit. But Atma Jnana and liberation has nothing to do with Papa Punya. That's a separate account. This is a separate account. Papa Punya is only, as you sow, you will reap. It's a simple profit and loss account and balance sheet account. 101 of finance is what Vedanta is. Retained earning at the end of a year is nothing but at the end of Janma, whether you have Agami karma or Sanchita karma, take it to the balance sheet and see whether you have negative balance or positive balance, and it is a going concern. Keep on going. That is all this Papa Punya is all about. Whereas liberation is nothing to do with that. That's why they are all being taken as examples here. One reason. These shlokas is where all those pairs of opposites and all those will come. That's why I brought the Taittiriya Upanishad, just to connect it. Look at this shloka. It says, Buddhihi jnanam asammohaha, buddhir jnanam asammohaha, kshama satyam damaha shamaha sukham dukkam. Now the pair of opposites starts. Sukham dukkam bhavaha abhavaha. Existence and non-existence. Right? Bhayam cha abhayam. Bhaya and the opposite of that. Abhayam eva cha. Ahimsa, samata, tushtihi, tapaha, dhanam, yashaha, ayashaha. Opposite of yashaha. Ayashaha. Bhavanti, bhava. State of being and the attitude that you bring. All of them, bhutanam, mattayeva pradha, all that you see, he has given a big list of things we will see in all people. Some people have good dhamma, they may not have shama. Some people have tushti, they may not have the. You can take any myriad combination of all these that is being told. He says, so he says, pritak vidaha. These are all the different manifestations you would have seen in life, in different people. They are all from me. So he is explaining the manifestation process here actually. He is saying everything that you see in the world in any combination is actually divinity. So everything is now bundled under divinity, is what he is saying. He is saying intellect, knowledge, non-delusion, asammoha. Right? Kshama, Satyam, Dhamma. But Shankara Bhashya, Adi Shankara's Bhashya, some of these definitions are wonderful. So I pulled all those definitions from Shankara Bhashya. Because some of them are very interesting. I'll just take all these definitions from Shankara Bhashya and show you, because they're pretty good. He says, what is buddhi? He defines buddhi as antakaranasya sukshmadi artha avabodhana samartyam. That is what is buddhi. In your inner world inside, can you develop a capability of understanding subtle things? Sukshma. Gross things you can understand. Sukshma tattva, not stula tattva. And developing that samarthya is buddhi. If somebody has buddhi, he should have this. He should be able to, from whatever you see, observe. See, these indriyas are feeding the signals in. Pancha karmendriya, jnanendriyas are feeding the signals in. The question is, what do you do with that? But this is the difference between all of us. A sentence is said and 100 of us understand it in 100 different ways. One person is happy, another person takes a revenge to finish him off. Same sentence. Because our avabodhana sakti is different. Avabodhana samarthya is different. That sukshma, he says, if you have developed that capability of seeing the subtle of anything that is being told, that is called buddhi. The definitions are all interesting definitions. Right? Then jnanam. He says, Atmadi padarthanam avabodha. Atma, anatma, vichara is very important. What is permanent and what is temporary? Atma is permanent, anatma is temporary. This whole world can be divided into Atma and Anatma, or Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Chapter 13 so beautifully he talks about it. Or darkness and light. He says, that's what he says in his Chatussutri Bhashya. First thing he says it's all about Ashmad and Yusmad. Asmad Yushmad Pratyaya Gocharayoho Vishaya Vishayinoho Paraspara Viruddha Bhavaha Tamapprakasavat. Just like the difference between darkness and light, that's the example he takes. There can be no confusion. He says it is as clear as darkness and light. You cannot mistake one for the other. Tamaprakasavat Paraspara Viruddha Bhavaha. That if somebody can understand, that is Jnana. That is the real knowledge. That's called Vidya. The rest are all, our MBA, all are called Avidya. Really, in our ultimate measuring yard, Apara Vidya, Avidya, all those are, Para Vidya is only Vidya, all these are Avidya. Avidya is required for Vyavahara. Vidya is required for ultimate liberation. I mean, there is nothing low of it. It requires for a certain purpose. Avidya is required for world of Vyavahara. But for liberation you need Vidya. That's what he is talking about here. Asammohaha. Look at his definition of asammohaha. He says, Prat utpanneshu bodhavyeshu viveka purvika pravrittihi. See, you start understanding things. Right? That's what he says, bodhavyeshu. There are many inferences, many situations in which we try to understand, comprehend. Right? He says, your effort to comprehend pravritti must be viveka purvika. It should lead you to viveka. It should not lead you to aviveka. If it leads you to aviveka, you are deluded. You are moha. Asammoha is your pravritti for these, as things emanate, as situations evolve from which we constantly comprehend, that comprehension that we do, that effort of comprehension must lead you to viveka purvika. It should lead you to more viveka in life. Not, so that is the definition he has given for asammoha. Right? Kshama. Akrishtasya taditasya va avikrita chinta. Something is lashed on you. Right? Something is thrust on you. It should not actually, you should not immediately react. It should not affect you, in a spontaneous way. That's called kshama. A nice definition again. He has given a definition which makes us think a little bit. You should not get agitated when something is thrown at you. Many people get lost on that. Damaha, Bahyendriya Upashamaha. Because easily you can hit people, you can shout at them. These are all Bahyendriyas. They are not Antakaranas, they are Bahyendriyas. Shouting at somebody, hitting at somebody, kicking somebody are all Bahyendriyas. Because those Indriyas are outward. That's what he says. So outward control of those Indriyas which are outward is called Dhamma. Whereas Antakaranasya Upashamaha. This mind which is planning a revenge is inside, not outside. This buddhi which is, making a huge calculation on finishing of something or somebody, they are all inside. It's called Antakarana. They are not Bahyendriyas, they are Antakaranas. Right? Pancha Karmendriyas and Pancha Jnanendriyas are the dials outside. But they are wired to something inside. They are called Antakaranas. In chapter 13 we will see it in good detail. That is Shamaha. Look at this. This is a beautiful definition. Tushti. Santushta. We use the word Samyak Tushtati iti Santushta. So even better. Santosha we use in a very common parlance. He has used only Tushti. He has not even put the Upasarga Sam. If you put San, that means it is even more. Santushti is even higher. Definition for Tushti. Paryapta buddhihi labeshu. Yadricha labha santushtaha is one which came in chapter 4. That is what he is saying here. Yadricha labha santushtaha. So can you be happy? Can you feel very satisfied with what you are getting? I mean, you put all your efforts aiming for something, but when something comes, be happy about it. That is called real tushti. When people don't have it, they will not have tushti. They will have a lot of mental trouble and stress. So it no way says don't put effort. He says, put all the effort. When results come, can you become happy, notwithstanding what you put in? It's very hard. We need to really understand it. This can relieve us a lot of nonsense in life if we can develop this kind of an attitude to life. Stushtihi. Danam. Yata Shakti Samvibhagaha, which is a straight definition. Yashaha. Dharma Nimitta Kirtihi. This is very, very important. Kirti you should get in a paradigm of Dharma. That is very, very important. If it is not a paradigm of Dharma, it is not Yashas. So Kirtihi Dharma Nimitta. And Ayashaha is Adharmaha Nimitta Akirtihi. Anything which is Adharmaha Nimitta will become Akirtihi, and that is called Ayashaha. He is saying. Some of the definitions are interesting. But essentially, Krishna is saying, Prithak Vidaha is what he used. He is saying the world will be a variety, infinite variety. But in that infinite variety, you must be able to see that I am that force behind. I am only, Niruktam cha, Niruktam cha, Nilayanam cha, Nilayanam cha, Satyam cha, Nritam cha, Satyam abhavat. Tadevanu pravishya, Tadevanu pravishate, Tadanu pravishya, Satchatya cha abhavat. That thought we must be able to connect here. Otherwise, we will not be able to see divinity. It will be just a piece of knowledge. Then he goes on, these are all about how to understand the manifestation only. Then he goes on, he says, Maharsheha Sapta Purve Chatvaro Manavastata Madbhava Manasa Jataha Yesham Loka Ima Praja. He is saying, do you know how this world got created? He said, first I created 7 rishis. 7 rishis I created. Then the Sapta is Sanat Kumara, Sanandana and Sanatana. They are those 4. They are the primordial 4. Sapta Purve. Then, Chatvaraha is those 4. Those 4. Sanat, Sanakad, Sanandana, Sanakadi, those. Then there are 14 Manus. And in this Pralaya, 7 Manus are gone. That's why we are Ashta Vimsati Tame. In the 8th Manus, 20, all that I talked about in chapter 8. Sankalpa, when they do, the whole thing is told. People have to understand this entire creation process is dated there. That's what the Purohit is saying. He's not telling some nonsense. He's actually telling where are we now in this process. Fully dated. That's what he says. Anyway, so 14 Manus. He says all these people have come from me. Manasa Jata, out of my mind. They were focused on me. Out of my mind they came. And out of them the whole thing came. This is just like setting, culture of curd. Where did it start? It started from some other curd. Where did that curd start? I don't know where you will go finally. It all goes on and on and on like that. Somewhere, I don't know who started this curd. I don't know who started this first tea plant. It's very difficult. So all of them finally lead there. Because if you keep on going, you will reach what is called silence. That's why Mauna Vyakya Parabrahma Tattva Yuvana. Because all these you will have to reach only silence because you cannot answer. You can keep on saying. How long will you go? After that, where you will end is what is called silence. Because you don't know what to say. That in that silence divinity is there. That was in Dakshinamurthy stotra, he says, Mauna Vyakya Prakadita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. All young people are sitting, Vriddha Sishya Guru Yuva. All the Sishyas are old, the Guru is very young, and how he transmuted the greatest knowledge, how? By silence. Chinmudriya, with silence. Why? Because if you keep on going, you keep on questioning. Paul Brenton said this. Paul Brenton went to Ramana Maharishi. He went all over the place, he was very not satisfied. So he said he was to go back. Then Kanchi Paramacharya said, don't do it. There is one great Rishi, go and see him. He sent the Mutt manager also along with him. So Paul Brenton says, this time I decided I will take all my revenge. So he said, I will thoroughly ask all questions. So he, 14-hour journey for 60 kilometers. From Kanchi to Tiruvannamalai, maybe about 100 kilometers or whatever, overnight journey. He said, I had completely prepared. I will not leave this sadhu. Then later he says, everything reduced to silence. There was no need to ask. In fact, many people have recounted. So there is a nice book It's called Face to Face with God. 101 people have written. It's a stunning book. 101 people have shared their experience of seeing Ramana Maharishi. There is one nice book called Face to Face with God. I have been reading it. There are different types of. There is one soldier from Switzerland, one Australian doctor, all kinds of people. I've read about 50, 60 of them so far, but one message is very clear so far what I have read. The message is, when you go to Ramana Maharishi, right, whether anything happens or not, you become silent. And it looks like it answers. Questions are answered in silence. So that is what it is. So if you keep asking all these, I don't know where we will go. Finally it is silent. So he says all of them, Ima Loka Prajaha, this all universe I created through. So it is from unmanifested form. How is the manifestation happening? That is what he is talking here. Then he says, so Yetam Vibhutim Yogam Cha, the person who can connect and know all these and connect it to me finally. This thread which started from me and has come down, that is the joy of the manifestation. That is the vibhuti. That is the joy of the infinity. Joyous manifestation of that infinity, infinite form. The forms are finite, but the finite forms are radiating that joy of the infinity. That is the correct meaning of vibhuti. So, yetam vibhutim yogam cha mama yo veti tattvataha. Conceptually, and people who understand it properly, yo veti tattvataha saha avikampena, unshaking. He has developed so much of courage and that dhiratva. See, the word dhira is not a person who is very courageous. That's what we use in common parlance. Dhira means courageous. Dhira is one who is able to use his dhi. Dhi means buddhi. Just now we saw the definition for buddhi. One who has developed such a high sense of nitya anitya vastu viveka. High power of discrimination between what is permanent, what is temporary, what is nitya, what is anitya, what is atma, what is anatma, what is God particle, what is permanent, what is temporary, mortal and immortal. That is one. He will be avikampena. He will develop what? He will develop an unwavering yoga with which he will be connected to me. Yunjate. Yujyate. Avikimpena yogena yujyate na atra samshaya. One more guarantee, no doubt. Be assured. Every now and then Krishna says, be assured. Na atra samshaya, natra samshaya. There is no iota of doubt, believe me. If people can see the divinity in everywhere, that is what he is saying. If you can see this vibhuti in experience, you will be connected to me faster. That umbilical cord will be set, is what he is saying. So, na saha avikampena yogena yujyate natra samshayah. So that's what. So all these shlokas, up to actually 11th shloka, I am skipping a few shlokas because it's kind of summary which I am giving. But they are all talking about the manifestation process. From the unmanifested, how is this God particle getting out? A very similar shloka we saw in chapter 9. Very similar shloka. When he talked about bhaktas, when he talked about, asuras and asuris and mohinis, then he talked about bhakta, same thing. I talked about sarupyam tava pujena mahadevena sankirtanam sanidhyam, all those for that. Same idea. He says, machchitta, madgata prana, right? Bodayantaha parasparam, katayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Moment they see this connection, this all world is full of only divinity, it really energizes them. And they get together, such people get together, satsanga happens and they revel through it. They really revel through it and then get even more energy out of that process, because what they do, they are thinking of me all the time. Machchitta, madgata prana, their entire pranic force and energy is focused on me, because now I have seen through. They have seen through this whole puzzle that was puzzling me all the time. Solve the puzzle. Madgata pranaha bodayantaha parasparam, right? They exchange notes, share their understanding and then help each other. Katayantascha mam, they talk about my vibhuti. What are all these kathas and puranas? They are vibhutis actually. They are those revelations of the joyous infinity in many forms. Katayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. They are in a very exciting state and they are a state of satisfied and delighted and so on. He says, if people are like that, one more guarantee Krishna gives. Immediately in another shloka. What is he saying here? He is saying, Tesham, such people, of such people, Tesham eva anukampartam, aham ajnanajam tamaha, so I will take them out of this darkness which is coming out of ajnana. This darkness in which they are groping in their life. I have developed compassion in them because they are now making effort to connect with me. All the time thinking about me, connecting with me. Tesham eva anukampartam aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayami. I will destroy. I will destroy this andhakara. Right? Nashayami atma bhavastha. How? I will go and sit in their mind. God does not come the way you see in Vittalacharya movies, where some smoke, then suddenly smoke becomes thicker and thinner, somebody jumps out of it. They are all dramatic forms. God will come and sit in your brain and tell you, do this. The day you can see God like that, you have seen God. Otherwise, you will never see God. Don't keep windows open and look around and so on. That's what Krishna is saying. Atma bhavastaha. I will come and sit with you. I will come and tell you what to do. All of us have our personal experience. I have definitely experiences. It's just God came and said, in certain very important decisions I made, I could have actually made a difference. In certain important positions I held in this institute, I very vividly recollect. And I owe it that God came and sat in my mind. It was much easier for me to err. And the error could have been very, very costly. And in certain cases, I have actually withdrawn the decision and put the decision because I think God came and said, don't do this. We should see like that. God will come and sit in you. All of us have this experience. Please look at it and develop that intuition. Then that is divinity and that is this bhakti. Bhakti doesn't come from all over the place. Aham bhavastaha. He says, I will come and sit. And light this lamp of knowledge for you. I will light this lamp of knowledge for you and remove the darkness in which you are groping for janmas and janmas and janmas. That's what he's saying. Jnana deepena bhasvata. I will light this lamp. Everything I will do sitting inside. I will come and sit. Why? Because of kripa. I will have kripa. So I was explaining this a few classes before. God's grace is always there. There are events in our life you have to actually understand it. It will not be, written in a piece of paper and given to you. You have to develop that subtlety in you. God's grace will be with you if the prayers are very sincere. In fact, you don't even have to look for it. You have to have that faith. Expose sometimes you can. But if you have that faith, God will have its grace. And I keep telling this, prarabdha cannot be taken away. This body is manufactured only to consume this prarabdha. The prarabdha can never be discounted or taken away. God will never take away the prarabdha, but the God's grace will make you go through the prarabdha much easier than in any other possible way. This is a very subtle idea you have to understand. If I have to go through something, I will have to go through. But God will come and sit in your mind and make you not have the suffering. You will have the pain but not the suffering. Suffering is very different from pain. Suffering is a matter of mind, pain is a matter of body. Pain is a matter of science. You do something, blood has to come, it has to, burn, and although they are all pathology and psychology and physiology and all that. Whereas suffering is your state of mind. God can come and sit and alleviate the pain for you, suffering for you. We have to believe in it. It does happen. You look for it. You don't even look for it. You develop that belief. It will happen. That's what he's saying. That this most important thing is Atma bhavastaha. I will come and sit in you. I will trigger you, do the way you have to do. I will come in. People say, I don't know why my mind worked like that. Because God did not come at that time. People will also say, why my mind worked like that? God came. That is the expression of divinity. What else? That is what he is saying. Again, Adi Shankara has a beautiful definition of this Jnana Deepa. See, this part of Bhashya was very interesting, so I thought I will pull some of them. He has written what is this Jnana Deepa, again nicely with 4-5 sentences. I just wanted to. So, Jnana Deepena. What is this Jnana Deepena? He says Jnana Deepena means Viveka Pratyaya Rupena. Jnana must take you to Viveka, not Aviveka. And what is Viveka? Nitya Anitya Vastu Vichara. This is permanent, this is temporary. So don't go after temporary. In fact, today in our living style, 95% of things that we go after are temporary. They are not permanent. We have actually given up the permanent part and going after temporary. We have become avivekis. So Jnana must get us Viveka. So Viveka Pratyaya. See, Pratyaya is again a very important. Gata Pratyaya. This Pratyaya is a very important word in Sanskrit. Gata Pratyaya means all that related to a part. How do you describe it in Sanskrit? You call it as Gata Pratyaya. Pata Pratyaya means all that related to a cloth, which means the science of it, the knowledge of it. That's a compact word. So he is using the word Viveka Pratyaya. All that related to the domain of Viveka. What all it means. That is what he is trying to say here. And he says, how will it happen? He is now describing how this lamp will be actually lit and why the lamp will not be put off. That is the beauty part of this Bhashya. He says, how would you actually lamp this light? He says, Bhakti Prasada Sneha Abhishiktena. So you use Bhakti as the oil. It's a nice, upama which he is giving here. He says, the more and more Bhakti you have, that becomes the oil for the Jnana Deepa too. Because without oil, how do you actually... That's the basic thing. The wick and the oil are very, very important. No? So that's what he is talking about. Bhakti Prasada Sneha Abhishiktena Madbhava Madbhavana Abhinivesha Vataritena. Because you need oxygen. The second thing that you need is oxygen. If you put it in a vacuum, it will be put off. So you can't have too much breeze, but you need air. The air is actually required for the oxygen part of it. Na? So that is what he is talking about. And what is this oxygen for this whole thing? He says, Madbhava Abhivinesha. Ananya Chinta. You keep on thinking about me, that is the oxygen for this. So all these are important. Without that, the flame will never come. So beautifully he is explaining it. Right? Then he says, Brahmacharyadi sadhana samskaravat prajnavartita. What is this wick? This wick is this ability to control your all, worldly passions and, indriya related temptations and so on. Brahmacharya is not, the ashrama brahmacharya, where you have, tonsure your head. Not that. Brahmacharya means those who are able to control all their sensory things and focus on Brahman. Brahme manaha yasya charati saha brahmacharya. One who is focused. So he says that is a wick. So wick, oxygen and oil are very, very important. Three very important things which he is talking about. Which is bhakti, devotion, and contemplating on me all the time is that oxygen which is required. And your ability to focus on me without distractions. That is a wick. Right? Then he says, Viraktanta Karanadharena. So, it is sustained by a sense of detachment. But this brings this. Basically, this is a fallout of that. The Brahmacharya means you develop a little bit of detachment. You don't get too much distracted into small little anityas. That's what it is being put here. Vishaya vyavritti chitta raga dvesha kalushita nivata apavarakastena. He says this lamp should not be exposed to a storm. So now you have to put a small little cover. So the cover has enough gap so that oxygen anyway goes, but then it is not put off, no? So that is what he says. He says, what is that cover? Don't get into all these vishayas. Don't feed all your indriyas with all the gadgets. Today we have become very passive in life. We need is a few 4 or 5 buttons to keep pressing, then mega serials will come. And you surrender yourself to that. And spend 40, 50 years and I don't know what, stock taking, what will happen. He says don't do that. This is what he is saying. He is saying Vishaya Vyavritti, Chitta Raga Dvesha, because all of them affect your Chitta, na? In Raga Dvesha, and that's why, in dream it will continue. All, in fact, many of my relatives also are saying, dream also the same, Chitra is coming, something is happening, all that is continuing in the dream anyway. That God has been kind to give you 2 hours of Sushupti. Sushupti is the only energizing part of our life. So he charges the battery a little bit and says, now start tomorrow again. So that is what is happening. So that is what he says. He says, this attachment, aversion and all that which are coming through all the indriyas getting into outside. So these are all related to this in a way. But then he says, this is that cover. So put the cover, pour some oil, have the wick and have enough supply of oxygen, then this lamp will. So in a nice way he actually explained the Jnana Deepa. But I think the most important thing I want to tell is grace. Anukampartha. This is, Anukampa is a very, very important thing. A hallmark of divinity is we don't even have to look for it. In our immaturity we may look for it. After some time we will forget to look for it. We will develop belief. Only when you don't have belief you have to check things. If you have belief you don't have to check. That's why in a house we don't have security check for things. Whereas in factory we have security check. In offices we have to have a check because we don't believe. It's an agency caste. It's called principal agent problem. We have to use management and talk. In a house there is no principal agent problem. All are. So we don't even have to do this. But then since we are graduating from one level, maybe we will start looking for it. After some time we will get samadhana. Okay, this is what it is. Let us believe. Grace will come. God's grace is always there. That's what he is saying. Atma bhavastaha. I will come and sit. This is the charm of this shloka. Okay, so we will just, with this we will, perhaps 3 shlokas we will stop, because Arjuna is now putting the question. Arjuna is saying, Vaktum arhasi aseshena divya hi atma vibhutayah yabihi vibhutibihi lokat, all that visargas all become repa in sandhi. Yabihi Vibhutibihi lokan imam stvam vyapya tishtasi. Krishna, you said you pervaded in this whole world as divinity, correct? So can you now tell me, Vaktum arhasi aseshena, clean, without leaving anything, tell me the complete thing. Aseshena Vaktum arhasi. What? Divya vibhutayah, Atma vibhutayah. This such a divine and a pure concept that you have told me, it was so far only a concept. Can you tell me what is that vibhuti? Right? He says that with that you have pervaded the whole world. Imam stvam vyapya tishtasi. Sarva vyapi. You said you were pervaded the whole creation and the universe with that, right? With that vibhuti. Yabihi vibhutihi. Right? Vibhuti bihi lokan iman. This whole universe that was created, you said you only are pervaded in all of them. Can you please tell me without missing out anything? No omitted portions. Please tell me everything. That's what Arjuna asked. Also he asked one more question. Katam vidyam aham yogin tvam sada parichintayin. You say you focus on me all the time. Again and again you are telling me, you focus on me. Tell me how to focus. That's what he is asking. He is asking, Tvam sada parichintayan. I have to keep thinking of you all the time, which you are telling several times. Tell me how to do that also. So that's what he is asking. Hey Yogin, this is Sambodhana and Krishna, right? He says, Tvam sada parichintayan katam. How can I keep thinking of you all the time? That api I want to know. Right? Aham vidyami. Keshu keshu cha bhaveshu chintyaha asi bhagavan maya. What are all the different ways I should reflect on you? You say you keep thinking about me all the time. Now can you please tell me what are all the different forms and names that I should actually reflect on you? Can you please tell me that also? Then he says, Vistarena, in detail, right? Atmanaha yogam vibhutim cha janardana. This vibhuti of this Atman which is pervading everywhere, that also, Vistarena, in fair amount of detail. Bhuyaha kate, again tell. Maybe you have said, but I am not getting it. You have said all these a few times in this chapter. I haven't got it yet. Bhuyaha kataya. Triptihi hi shunvato nasti me amritam. What you are saying is immortal nectar. But having heard any number of times, I have not got the tripti. He says, I have still not satisfied. Triptihi nasti. I don't have tripti, therefore bhuyaha kataya. Tell again. This is so nice what you are saying, but I have still not got a hang of it. I have not fixed my mind on it. So can you please tell me once again? Is what he asked. I think we will stop here. And in response to this question, Krishna Shloka 19 to 39, 21 shlokas, in which he actually pulls out several examples and shows the vibhuti, which we will see in the next class. Thank you.